Thank you very much. Before we get started, I would like to also announce something that I'm very, very excited about, and a lot of the community members have requested it as well, being able to live stream our meetings again. So we're back, we're online. Hello, World Wide Web, Charter Oak is here. We're very happy. So welcome to anyone who may be watching us online. That also means all of our comments are streamed on the internet, and so are your comments streamed on the internet. The mics are really sensitive, so we can hear all the conversations happening. Moving right along, I'd like to pass it over to Dr. Jordan for our board awards.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. So tonight, we've got a slew of recognitions that we would like to have the board do. Most of them are all from Charter Oak High School. So we're going to introduce the Charter Oak principal, Mr. Matt Doltz, to come on up. And we are really excited about the first recognition. Our very own Natalie Cook has been selected as the Project Echo Teacher of the Year, and Matt will talk about that. Our next recognition we are excited for in our spring sports, our girls softball program. We're the league champs. I know Matt will talk a little bit more about that. So, absolutely. Matt, it's all yours.
Yeah, we're so proud of our team. The amazing thing about us, and Coach Stacy will come up in a second and introduce them, but not a single team. So they're going to be back and they're going to be stronger than ever. So that's the thing. But yeah, they took league and they went pretty deep in CIF round 3 and just barely lost in the last inning. It was a heartbreaker, but we're so proud of them. So Coach Natividad and our softball representatives, why don't you come on up? We are very proud of you. So we'd like to congratulate you.
Come on up, ladies. These are athletes right here. Okay, and we're excited about our next recognition. We've been trying to bring this group in, but they've been super busy, so we're really proud of our sports med team. So, Mr. Doltz, if you'll do the introductions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. This is our super rock star team that, I'll talk about the competition in a second. Actually, I'll let Dr. Simic do talking about that. But these students, they do help keep our athletes up and running. They keep them on the field. They keep them healthy. They do live training on the scene where they're working with our athletes each and every day. Dr. Simic, this stuff's way above my head. You want to talk about the competitions that they did. It does take a doctor to do so. But we can proudly state that this program is the best in the state, right? Yes. Absolutely, without a doubt. So why don't you come on up, you can introduce your team.
So this is, I believe, our 6th year competing in the sports med competition. And this was the first year where we basically swept literally everything. So the way that it works is we have a regional competition that's in the Western United States. So there's out-of-state schools that come and compete from Washington, Texas, Arizona, Nevada. And so we're competing up against 650 other student athletic trainers. And it's divided into 3 different divisions. So we have our rookie division, the novice division, the intermediate division, and the advanced division. And so this was the largest program that I've ever had at Charter Oak. So we had representatives in every division, and we took first in each of the 3 divisions. As a school, we collectively placed the number 1 as a small school division, and the small school division is based on team size. So we're competing against schools like St. John Bosco, schools that are much, much larger than ours. And this year they did an inaugural award called the Super Team Award. And basically they didn't account for size, they didn't account for division, they just compared students to students, and we took first place in that as well. So we were the number 1 school. And so tomorrow we actually have our national competition. So we'll be competing against every other sports medicine program in the country. And we have Angelina Wang, Ezekiel Viziklein, and David Estrada, who will be competing and representing us in our national competition tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, tonight being our last school meeting of the school year, our tradition is to recognize our board reps. So if everyone will come up and the board will come up, our president's going to make a short presentation.
Guess I'll talk from right here. I don't think we have a mic up there. Yeah.
No, you can talk from there, then we'll go.
So something that is very near and dear to me personally, and as well as my colleagues on the board, is young people engagement in what we have going on right here in our district. And we have been blessed beyond measure to have district student representatives here on our board all year. We're so very proud of you, Sebastian and Wade. We thank you for your service, and also, even though you will graduate prior to our next meeting, you are invited to attend. Also, we also had Gerardo, who served with us for the first semester. Is he here? Yep. Hey! And Caroline was our representative to the Glendora City Council, and she's not here?
She's unable to come.
She's not here tonight. But what you all do here is very important, and I want you to know that these are the experiences that you should carry with you for the rest of your life. As you become registered voters, if you're 18, take care of that. Because this is going to help build your civic engagement chops for the rest of your life. So thank you very much for your service and your commitment to Charter Oak. We wish you the very best in all of your future endeavors, and we have things for you.
So come on up. Alan, don't you have an event going on right now, then? Or is that not tonight? We rescheduled it. Thank you. I was gonna let you guys go now.
Well, or you can wait for the student rep report since they're talking about your school. That would be great. So that is a great segue into our student representative reports. Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Mu.
Hello, everybody. Arrow High School School Board Report. For starters, for Cinco de Mayo, we celebrated with a traditional Mexican meal that came with tacos, rice and beans, and other Mexican treats. Students who completed state testing were rewarded with this for free. 2 bikes were given away for state testing in a raffle, along with some great gift baskets. It was a great time for everybody. Pancake breakfast was given out to everybody who earned the incentive of Most Improved. And then awards night. Our awards night is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024 at 7 p.m. This is to recognize students who excelled in all subjects, character, and honorable leadership.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to thank you for all the wishes today. I really enjoyed my time here, and it was such an honor to be part of the board. But first, for my talk about Charter Oak, I'd like to congratulate this CIF team, our softball team, and also our sports med team who made it to nationals. As you said before, this is amazing. We have so many smart and intelligent people at Charter Oak, so many people who are hardworking, and so I'd like to congratulate them again. I'd also like to talk about 5 of our Chargers who were chosen to be part of the Valley Vista 5. They are Sydney Kong, Athen Malone, Miranda Del Franco, and Ali Benavides. These students were honored along with students from neighboring schools as part of the best athletes in our league, so I'd like to congratulate them. And this past Monday, Valeria Campos was presented with the Outstanding Student Award at the Destiny Masonic Lodge. And also, the 2024 Charter Academic Awards for grades 9 to 11 was held on Wednesday, May 8th, and where students were recognized for the academic achievements throughout various departments and pathways at Charter Oak. And yesterday, our school hosted a college decision day where graduating seniors announced where they will be spending the next chapter of their lives. For upcoming events, next week, AP and IB testing will end. I personally want to thank the board for your generosity to help subsidize the cost for many of our exams. Your actions has allowed many students to take exams and potentially earn college credit. Also, the Charter Oak High School Choir will be performing their spring concert and all that jazz this Friday and Saturday. And on May 23rd, Charter Oak will host its annual Powder Puff Game. Now, Charter Oak will begin its senior week on Tuesday, May 28th, filled with graduation rehearsals, a tailgate party, and senior walks through all 5 elementary schools. Thank you to all our principals and district officials for making this possible. And finally, our 2024 commencement ceremony will begin at 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 30th. That will be all.
Thank you. And now, high school students, and teachers, if you have things to do that are somehow more cool than being here, now would be the time to exit the meeting.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good luck tomorrow.
No pressure, but feel free to win tomorrow. All right, so on to our next item. Mrs. Flores, the ROP report.
So I'm happy to report that the San Gabriel Valley ROP has hired a new CBO. His name is Anuoluwapo Roberts. He comes to us from Compton Unified, a very talented young man. We also honored Charter Oak High School at the last ROP meeting. We honored Ezekiel Klein and also recognized their efforts at the American Association of Sports Medicine, where they competed. So excited to be able to partner with Charter Oak and San Gabriel Valley ROP to provide these opportunities to our students. And I'm also happy to report that ROP awards scholarships every year. And this year we awarded one of our students, Drew Dyer, for culinary arts under Miss Alicia Portillo. So he'll be receiving a $500 check at the senior awards night. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. And next, we have Dr. Jordan with the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Welcome again. I can go on and on. The month of May has nothing but activities for our school, and I know I'm going to miss a lot of things, but let me just hit some of the things we've been keeping track of as we go along. First of all, I want to start out by saying one of the things that our sports med program needed, and I want to thank our CTE program, Mr. Doltz, as well as Dr. Iro, who was able to find the funding. And I'm going to totally mess this up, but we were able to purchase for them, basically, it's an anatomy table that is electronic and it's computerized that allows the kids actually to, and Dr. Aguilar, I'm probably going to defer to you a little bit. It's like an electronic cadaver, if you will, where the kids can actually work on that and to be able to learn their craft and their skill, which we know is going to help them be even more competitive when they go into these national tournaments. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the road you guys see a national champion of this group. So I think that's pretty cool with just the group being able to get the resources that are current, that other schools are using, that we're now just as competitive with them to be able to do the same thing. So thanks to them. Had the opportunity to go to Mean Girls, which was just absolutely phenomenal. State testing is over. I don't think everyone realizes the amount of time and effort, that our teachers and support staff do all year to prep the kids for this. But then when you look at the logistics from out of Ms. Mustafa's office to a principal's office to the teachers to everybody to pull off state testing over a long period of time, and it's electronic. So a lot of efforts. Thank everybody, our technology department, our maintenance department, just everybody for giving our kids the opportunity to do their best. This is also picnic and portfolio season. So we've had an opportunity to go out to our elementary schools to watch that. Really, I think it's a great concept. Here's the reason why. What I like about it is all the work for the year is in a portfolio. The student picks it up with their family, and they bring dinner, they bring lounge chairs, they bring a blanket, and what is powerful is the student gets to sit and show off their work with their family. Talking about having pride and talking about having to be able to hold accountability for your work. I just think it's a phenomenal change, and I really, really appreciate the work that they do to put that out. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to recreate with In-N-Out at Badillo, 50 years later, the food truck that came out and did burgers for everyone. So if you read one of the most recent books on In-N-Out, there's literally a paragraph in there that talks about back in December of 1974, it was the vision of In-N-Out to do community outreach, and because there was a student who had written a story in class about what would you want to be, and the story goes that the student says he wants to be a double-double. That somehow or another got to In-N-Out. They brought out literally two big, I'm going to call them barbecues, but that probably is not what they were. And that was the inception of what we see today when the multi-million-dollar trucks show up and they're serving 600 burgers. So we recreated that event yesterday at Badillo. I want to thank Ms. Monroe. I want to thank the staff over there. They connected that to their portfolios. We were able to watch a kinder performance prior to that. And so for those of you that were able to attend, that was really neat. And so they did a big press thing on it. We're doing the same thing, and just really a neat opportunity for the kids. This afternoon, I want to say thank you to HR. and congratulate all of our retirees for this year. We held a celebration today over at Adult Ed. And there were a lot of really nice things said about our retirees. And you could look, our retirees have been here either from 12 up to, I think it was 40 years. And so the impact that they had on our district, in their jobs, at their schools and their departments with students, really needs to go recognized, and we just appreciate them, and it was great to be able to celebrate them. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. Next week is Classified Appreciation Week. So we combine the two, and we do our annual Employee Appreciation next week, where we'll do a drive-through next Wednesday, just to say thank you to all of our employees. We've got some special things that we give out to them as they drive through. It's going to be in the afternoon here at the district office. It's our way of being able to say thank you. We know that our employees, they've got tough jobs. I acknowledge that. We are trying to be as supportive as we can, and this is just a little bit extra to say thanks. So we're always looking for it. It's a fun day just to be able to celebrate. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity, and some of you did as well, attend the Charter Oak Ed Foundation Hall of Fame. What was really impressive about that is each year when they do the Hall of Fame, they recognize up to 2 community members. This year are Roxana Figueroa, who is one of our employees over at ROMS, as well as like a mainstay in the community in terms of reaching out and helping families and kids of need. And then the second recognized person was Brian Akers, who we all remember was one of our former board members about 4 years ago. And he was also recognized from the Ed Foundation. Last one, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I had the opportunity to present at the Glendora State of Schools that's hosted by the Glendora Chamber. Ourselves, Glendora Unified, and Citrus College, all three get the chance to do a presentation. And, you know, you hear things that are going on in other districts, other type of activities, and I can tell you, with our presentation and what we heard, we're going toe-to-toe with everybody. We should be very proud of the work that's being done in the district, be proud of the work that's being done in our classrooms, at our schools, because good things are happening right now. And I always equate this. Why do we do those things? We do those things because they have a direct impact on our students. And why do we all have jobs? Why are we even here tonight? Because we have kids that we work with every day to give them a future like we had the opportunity as well. So thank you, everybody. That concludes my long report.
Thank you. So if you'd like to take a deep breath, because up next is board presentations.
Yes, so we are excited about this one. This has probably been one of the charges that the board gave me 5 years ago, and we have worked diligently on trying to get this to happen. There have been many, many roadblocks, but tonight, for your consideration later on in the agenda, is a resolution to actually move Charter Oak towards solar. And why is that important? Well, you'll hear in the presentation in a moment what that not only does, but potentially the savings that it can create for our district over a period of time. Later in the meeting, you're going to hear me also talk about things like that in a short presentation that I'm going to do. So before we take that to the vote later, we thought we would give the board an update. So at this time, I'm going to have Ms. Brandford to go ahead and do the introductions.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Good evening, board. I'm pleased to introduce Russell Driver. Russell is with ARC Alternatives, and Russell will do the overview. Thank you.
I want to know if the solar panel in May in USA.
Not the ones being proposed for this project.
Where do we get it from?
I believe I will have to look at their proposal, but I believe they're LG panels, which would be, I believe they're manufactured either in China or Indonesia. Korea? Samsung. They're Samsung. Thank you.
Oh, it's from Korea, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Any other questions? I have 2 questions. Are technology advancements covered in this cost? I'm asking because I mean, technology advances pretty quickly. So what if something really awesome happens in 10 years? Would that be covered in this package?
Not in an explicit way. The way the economics on these projects work is that when you make the initial investment in deploying the solar, it has to stay in place for long enough to pay itself off. So those modules, the solar modules themselves that you're buying, are really going to be there for 20 years because as they get paid for, they're so cost effective that the energy almost becomes free over time. And you can always reinvest in sort of repowering your system and putting new modules on, but that's a capital investment for either you or solar developers to do. When you have a set of equipment that might not be as efficient or as great, but is still putting out a lot of power, so that's kind of the dynamic.
Okay. And my second question is, back when we were having these presentations before, they spoke of education partnerships. Do we still have that part of our arrangement?
Yeah, this vendor DSD doesn't have the same capabilities that the initial selected vendor did in that regard. So it's not explicitly in there from that contract, though our firm has helped with those programs with the other districts we work with. And so we're more than happy to take on a larger role there. For example, for Capistrano Unified, I helped facilitate like a student committee through the process that helped the project team. They got to look at the designs and walk the sites and do things like that. There's also some fairly like readily available in the solar industry, solar curricula that we can put our hands on and help develop with teachers. So we can take more of a leadership role there and work with the vendor, though it was that initial vendor had the more developed program, honestly. But that's a priority. I think we can work to see that done.
I'd love for you and Dr. Jordan to kind of look into that and see what that looks like for us.
Yeah, I'd be happy.
All right. Mr. Rose?
It bothers me, but I want to ask you the question, why are we not buying product made from USA?
Sure, it's a tough and difficult issue, primarily related to the lack of availability for U.S. manufactured panels. It's a possible option, but it introduces kind of a couple of issues. One, their availability can create schedule delay. Two, they are more expensive by some amount. And then three, they're not always, depending on where you get them, of equal quality because they're not produced in the same volumes that they are overseas. So we've done American manufactured modules on 2 projects over the last 10 years, and they certainly work. It's been made work, and they're great projects. The one caution that overrides all the others that I would have here is that in order to maintain that NEM eligibility that I was talking about, the projects have to be constructed and interconnected by April of 2026. And we are quickly running out of time on it. So if the board desires, we can communicate with the solar vendor and see what options they may want to bring to the table in terms of U.S. manufactured solar modules. Primarily what we're talking about. The inverters are very, very easy to source domestically. And of course, the steel is domestic and all the labor is domestic. So it's really a module question. So we can engage them on that, but it would raise the PPA price a little bit.
Thank you, and thank you very much. And on for our next presentation, Dr. Jordan.
Okay, next up, I'm going to introduce Dr. Kim for the next presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan, Madam President, and Board of Trustees. We are excited about this next venture within not just the Charter Oak Unified School District, but really across the entire state of California. Back in 2021, I believe, California became the first state that required ethnic studies as a graduation requirement for high school students in the state, and that's to begin for the graduating class of 2030. So we got a little bit of time. So though it's required for the graduating class of 2030, the requirement set before us is that we implement it starting with the 2026 school year. This microphone's so clear, that's why. I'm going to call up our Director of Curriculum Instruction Assessment, Ms. Fayrouz Mustafa, to really walk us through the plan set forth before us here in Charter Oak Unified School District.
Great, thank you, Dr. Kim. Then we would like to seek board approval of courses as well as textbooks in March and April of 2025. And then from May to July of 25, have instructors planning, training, and collaboration with full implementation of August of 2025. Any questions?
Anyone have questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Mustafa. Dr. Kim, I think this is wonderful, and I'm excited to see what the curriculum looks like, so thank you.
Hi. You mentioned courses or kind of options of what a curriculum could look like. What are kind of some examples of ways that a district might implement some kind of ethnic studies course or courses?
Absolutely. So we can offer a standalone course, which with master schedule is driven by student request, and we know how tight student calendar and student schedules can be. So another option outside of standalone course is implementation within an existing course. For example, we could have various courses within English class, a history course, an art course, drama. So there are various ways where we can offer ethnic studies to capture that graduation requirement.
Thank you.
Are there any specific amount of hours that's required?
So part of the committee is to look at that and how we can implement through various courses to ensure that we meet all of those requirements.
But has the state established anything yet?
Minimum of 1 semester.
1 semester? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
To teach a class in ethics study, that means that there would be a new credential for a teacher to teach? Or, I mean, what kind of credential you allowed to teach ethics studies?
I can answer that question. So it's generally assigned to the history, social sciences, but as Ms. Mustafa pointed out, an ethnic studies course can be integrated with an existing discipline. So let's say, for example, if it's English, then obviously you would need the English credential to offer English with an ethnic studies framework or lens.
So in, let me see here, between the month of May and July 2025, it will be planning and training and collaboration. It's going to be offered to teachers as an optional if they want to teach ethnic studies.
We are looking within our own teaching force to find interested, passionate, experienced teachers with the backgrounds to offer it. Correct.
Now, you also mentioned that it is a required course, so it's not elective courses. Am I correct?
That is correct.
It's a required course that can be offered as an elective. So we have, for example, we offer technology electives, but we also have a technology requirement as a graduation requirement. So elective in the sense that it's not a core academic course, yet also a graduation requirement.
So it's a required course. So,
Well,
I understand that, but I want to make sure, we're talking about the number of unions. I mean, the number of credits that the student earned toward the diploma. Right now, it's 220 credits to earn the diploma. If this is, at the study is a required course, it's now, you say the minimum of the minimum of 1 semester. So if the student takes 1 semester at the study, he meets the requirement for graduation, am I correct?
Correct.
So that means the number of credit union is increased from 2020 to 220 220 to 225. Am I correct?
It's a really good question. What we would have to do, and what you're inferring, is that we would have to bring to this board a consideration for revising our graduation requirements, which may include an increase in their credits or revision to whatever existing credit requirements that exist right now.
Okay.
I have a question I think I know the answer to already. If we come to the conclusion that we need to offer this as a standalone course, was there any funding attached to local school districts for having to hire additional teaching staff?
No, there wasn't. There was a nominal amount just for planning and implementation.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Yes, okay. Mr. Rose and then Mr. Aguilar.
It says here that we're going to have to approve the new textbooks. So that would be budgeted for next. Do we have a budget for that next year? I mean, eventually when we adopt the new budget, it will probably include money from the textbook at the study, right?
We have an existing lottery funds that are utilized for instructional materials. So yes, we'd have to budget appropriately for whatever textbooks are recommended for whatever respective courses that may come to your attention.
So maybe for some more clarity for me in terms of Mr. Rose's previous question in terms of it being like a required course. So is it maybe better to define it as a requirement for graduation, but it's not a requirement that it be a standalone course, for example, right? I mean, if it ends up being a strategy that it's kind of integrated with an existing curriculum, then it's not an additional credit or it's not an additional course that a student would have to take in that situation.
Correct.
Okay. Or on the other hand, it being elective, there could be even multiple standalone versions potentially for a district to implement. And then a student would have to just simply select one of them as long as they complete one of them. Cool. And then, so there's seems to be a lot of flexibility in terms of how a district can implement this, right? So, I mean, the requirement is that there's an ethnic studies curriculum, but I appreciate getting into the community and finding out, what would be versions of that in our community that our students would be really interested in, and that might specifically empower our populations and serve them best. So I think that's really exciting to see how all of that develops over the course of the next couple of years. So, thank you.
Any last questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving right along, Dr. Jordan.
Okay, I'm going to finish off with the last presentation tonight. The reason for me presenting this evening, as we've been watching since January, the proposed budgets and some of the legislation that goes on at this time of the year, I know it creates some confusion, as well as it's really important that it's one of the things that myself and our executive cabinet spend a lot of time on to really try to forecast and to try to project out some of the things that we can do financially, as well as addressing any trends that are coming down the road, so that we can always try to be in front of things as much as we can, as opposed to being reactionary. So there's three things that I just want to bring tonight to attention. I'll talk about next steps. There's not solutions. I'm not bringing anything this evening, other than I think it's important that this board, along with our executive leadership, it is our responsibility not to just solve the problem for today, but we need to begin looking outward, not only next year, but in the next 5 years, about what are the trends that can impact Charter Oak Unified. So I want to touch on three areas. One is just start to identify some future budget challenges. I also want to talk a little bit about declining enrollment, but I also want to take a minute to talk a little bit about how we can look at ways in the future to increase revenue. So I'm going to start with the budget. Just as a reminder, I know this board's well aware of it, that our funding is really challenging from the standpoint that we receive funding based off of our enrollment, and more specifically, based off of when students actually come and sit down in a classroom. So if you don't come and sit in a classroom, we do not get paid. So that's why we have been working since the pandemic, and all the schools have done a great job with this, of doing some outreach and trying to emphasize the fact that you've got to get into the seat. We've even expanded that. We also know that you've got to get into the seat because that's the optimal time for us to be able to give our best to our students to maximize student achievement. We also know we get state and federal funding based off of this. The challenge is that both the enrollment as well as our funding, it continues to decrease. And I'll talk about that in a moment. The other thing that's really important to know is that because of the pandemic, and you see this all the time, and the state of California right now is experiencing this firsthand, is that all of the extra federal one-time money and the state money has diminished and is within a year of going away. And I got to tell you, school districts have lived really well the last 3 years because of this one-time funding. We have worked really hard of not putting all of our one-time funding into things that were going to be needed for an extended period of time. And because of the work of our LCAP committee, and because of the work of our business office and HR and Ed Services, we have been able to identify priorities in this district and place them into the LCAP that this board approves and be able to use supplemental and concentration funding to be able to do those things. So what districts right now that are in trouble, that you're seeing doing layoffs, they didn't do that. They've hired all the things that eat, and now they can't pay what eats. And so our goal, and this is the job of what I said, everyone up at this table, is how do we continue to maintain those supports and be fiscally responsible to make sure that as we move outward, under the conditions that we know as of today, we can still provide those. And that's a challenge. And you can't take that lightly. Everyone just assumes because of what we do, it's done easily. I can assure you that outside of whatever anybody thinks we do, we spend a lot of time looking at data, looking at forecasting, looking at the financials, looking at futures of enrollment, to really try to be in front of having a plan on how to make sure that we do the best for our district. Every school district is going to tell you that they have a structural deficit, and it's really simple. Your revenues are less than your expenses. And here's the problem, is that, as I pointed out, we are predicated based off of state and federal funding. So if you look over the last couple of years, funding was increasing every year, and we were in a really good spot. But now, we went from the state of California last year with a multi-billion-dollar surplus to this year's projected budget from the state with a multi-billion-dollar deficit. And that swing took place in 1 year. So, as that funding continues to go down, and if our expenses stay static, that's the gap. That's the structural deficit. And a lot of districts will address those deficits in different ways. And those are things that we'll continue to be able to look at what our options are. We want to look at how do we move forward where we can still maintain all those exact same supports. I got it. One thing that I'm really proud of that we've been able to do each year is we've been able to send to the board what we call a positive certification. So at the state level and the county level, there are 3 certifications a school district submits. If it's positive, which is what you want, that means that you have the financial means for your first year, second, and third year to be able to meet all your obligations. And that's what we've been doing. We're good right there. If you're qualified, that means that you can cover your first year and your second year. Your third year, you may have a problem. And if you're negative, that means not only can you cover year 2 and 3, you can't even cover year 1. When you become negative, that's when the state will take you over. This board will no longer have power to make decisions in Charter Oak Unified. Now, we're not there, and we will never be there. But what I bring to the attention of pointing that out is that if we take these things lightly and we don't look outward, you could wake up one morning and the state could change funding and be in a big crisis, and a lot of school districts can be there. So my point is, we want to make sure that we have a plan on how we can avoid ever being in that position. The other part that I think is important, and this board's done a really good job, is when we develop our budget, is making sure that we're prioritizing where do we need to make sure that we're putting our expenses so that we can try to do the best we can of impacting student achievement. So let's talk about enrollment really quick, and I'll wrap this up. We know that the financial impact of declining enrollment, we just talked about it. It's the revenue part, right? And those implications go really far. What we find right now is that with declining enrollment, because you don't pick who leaves and from what classroom they leave from or what school they leave from, but what we find right now is that over time, you start having an imbalance of school enrollment, especially when you look at the elementary schools, from school to school. For me, that becomes a problem. And you can't just assume that it will fix itself, right? The other problem that we face is that as kids slowly leave, is that now you begin to have an imbalance from grade level to grade level, from site to site. Fifth grade at one school could have a much lower enrollment than fifth grade at another school. So I say that because strictly from a business standpoint, is that how you would run your business to financially be responsible and making sure that you're addressing that part of the weakness? So the other thing that this all impacts is it impacts facilities. Are you maximizing your facilities? So what I want to begin to look at as well are future revenues. And you know, every superintendent I talk to, they talk about how do we create programs. Programs are going to bring in kids. Well, guys, after doing this for 35 years, here's my thought. Everyone's doing programs. Everyone's competing for the same kid. Everyone's starting this and starting that. I don't think that those are the things necessarily anymore that draw new students to your school district. One of the things that I'm going to challenge us to begin to look at is that how do we look at our existing resources within Charter Oak, our assets, and how do we maximize those? And there could be a variety of ways of being able to do that. And as I mentioned, tonight was more just to start with an awareness. No solutions tonight, and I'll talk about those next steps in a second. But why do I bring all this to the board's attention? Because at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to make sure that we give our kids their best every single day that they come to us. Families expect that. Our staffs expect that. We expect that at the cabinet level. I expect that as a superintendent, and I know this board expects that. And when you look at trying to address some of the challenges that face us, when we address those things, it will have a direct impact on how we help our kids. How do we provide the resources to our classrooms? How do we provide the resources that ultimately impact kids? We need to continue to have trained adult professionals who are in our schools to be able to supply those supports. And what you're finding right now is that over 80% of a school district's budget is in things that eat. It's the people. And the challenge is, as we mentioned, when you go back to the budget, is if your revenues keep going down and you keep the same amount of people, there's that gap. And we don't want that gap to get so big that drastic changes have to take place. I am proud to say, though, as we're moving into the 24-25 year, the budget that we'll bring forward to your consideration in June will be positive. It will have a plan for all 3 years. We are able to still maintain the supports that we have for next year and maintain jobs. But I don't want to sit here a year from now and say, oh my gosh, guess what? We didn't know this was coming. In 27, 28, or 28, 29, this is going to happen and we're not ready for it. We need to start having that conversation now. It's much easier to make good decisions when you don't have to make a drastic decision immediately. And it's much better giving yourself time to put a plan in place as we move outward. So as we talk about what's next, what I would like, first of all, any feedback from the board tonight, but I also would like to take these 3 areas with the board's direction and have our staff, which I think is absolutely outstanding in what they do, and do deep dives and do analysis in each of these areas. And what I would propose is that when we come back in August, that we would begin placing an item on the agenda with short presentations, and we'll do them by topic, where we can just start educating the board, educate our community of the things that are working well, let's say within the budget, and the challenges, and show numbers and talk about ways that we can maybe look at trying to fix it. Same thing with enrollment, and then I'd like to bring the same thing with some revenue generating ideas, just to throw them out there for the board to say, yeah, let's get more. Let's learn more about that. Because like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. Let's do our learning when there's not a major emergency. Let's do our learning to be very proactive to protect ourselves for the many years to come. Any questions or comments? I appreciate the board listening tonight.
Any questions? Peterson?
I just want to say thank you, Dr. Jordan. I appreciate your vision. This is stuff we talk about on a regular basis, and it's been a concern of ours. And I appreciate the fact that we're educating everybody associated with the challenges that all the districts are facing. So thank you for your efforts, and I appreciate everything you've done.
I think, like as we discuss this, you talk about the details of how districts are funded, which isn't new information for those of us here. But I think it highlights that when you look forward and you say, all right, well, this is how the current state formula functions. This is how revenue will be determined, calculated for any particular district. And being tied to an enrollment which is never really in anybody's control. People will live here, people will move away, people will come, it'll always be in flux. The more you are subject to something out of your control, right, the more uncertain the future could be. And so I think what it really highlights is being strategic, being creative about ways to generate revenue that aren't going to be based on something out of our control, right? What are things that are within the control? What are things that can be consistent sources of revenue over time, where even if enrollment fluctuates one way or the other, these become strategies to continue to maintain and help to kind of immunize the district, so to speak, from those changes at the state budget level, changes in enrollment level, and things like that. So to me, that's kind of what I hear most coming from this, and that I think it'll be exciting going forward as a board to try to explore those, or have the district explore ways to do that.
And we're doing one of them tonight.
Yeah.
Your consideration tonight on solar is a long-range plan on how we can start saving on our utilities. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I know that's why we pushed even over the course of the past year or so, looking at solar, looking for ways to have not only a large budget savings, but also a cost net positive in the first year and things, because we want to be cognizant as a board that we need to see the district receiving higher revenue rather than having to spend a ton of money up front and things. So I think that's a great example of that. We're excited to see that for our consideration today, and looking forward to the future.
Any additional questions? No? All right, moving right along.
Actually, I do.
Go ahead.
And I appreciate the presentation. However, I'm more concerned about how the funding will look in the next few years. We all know that the federal funding is going to expire by next year. I think it's 1 more year.
2026, I think is the final.
Those are the state funding. The federal funding actually expires.
Right, 2026 is the.
That's what I thought. So how we use the money from the federal to put it in our budget is what is running in the districts. Now that's going to be gone. How are we going to replace it? That might be a concern. I truly believe, maybe none of you board would believe me, but I truly believe that our federal funding is what kept the district and keep the district floating. We're very fortunate to have that money back in year 2020. I believe when we started receiving federal funding, because there was no money coming in from the state to keep charter oak floating, stable. Now I see it's coming. That the federal funding is gone. How are we going to keep charter oak stable, financially stable? And I think your presentation tonight, and I share that concern with you, and like I share with the rest of the board, that yes, something is coming that we're going to have to deal with, and where are we going to find the money to support, to balance our budget? I know we gave raises to everyone from top to bottom the last year. We gave a raise from top to bottom. Everyone got a raise. Now that costs money. I understand that we need to keep the teachers in the district, classify staff, and everyone else. But now, looking forward, how are we going to stabilize our budget? Now we learn the state's not going to have any more money coming in. Probably not. I'm not saying for 1 year. We're looking down maybe 2 or 3 more years of budget deficits if nothing changed to help our economy, to boost our economy. I know I sound pessimistic, but my job, this board had a responsibility. We're the one to let the buck stop at the board. So we all should be, I'm sure the board members are very cautious about how we proceed in the next few years to balance our budget. And I appreciate your presentation. And you seem very forceful, very firm. And that tells me that you are pretty much aware that it's going to be a bigger challenge for us. Last of all, I'm looking forward for you and the staff, administrators, to work with teacher unions, classified unions, and we all need to work together. We really need to work together to get us through the next few years. I'm not talking about, I know money is always an issue. I know that. But we need to be peacefully stabilized in our district. And I believe everyone should be working together to get through this crisis together. Not just the board itself, but everyone in the district. And I'm looking forward to see that happen. Thank you, Dr. Jordan.
Are we done with questions here? All right, moving along to public comment. Do we have any cards? Our first card is from Elizabeth Hernandez with the subject special education.
Oh. Ready? Yeah? Oh, okay. Name's Elizabeth Hernandez. I have 3 kids currently in the district. I've been coming to the board regarding special education for quite some time now. Unfortunately, things are getting pretty out of hand. Police being called, charges being filed, my child being, taken out of his educational setting, is now Zooming at home. Now they're trying to place them in a non-public agency for, more intense, challenged children where he does not belong. He reads, he writes, he participates, he has high vocabulary, he has behaviors that have been proven to be managed through ABA programming. Your director of special education is blocking that path. He blocks ABA programming from my medical insurance that can provide it or through the school, which we've had implemented and was 100% successful within a short period of time. Does not want to continue that. They do ABA strategies. The BCBA that's on staff is effective in her delivery, but unfortunately it does not get carried out through the rest of the staff. I have advocated to the best of my ability. The district has funded attorneys, and I have to fund my own attorney. This is not something where parents want to come to this district. You talk about filling in the seats, having special education, blocking the path of growth and the development of our children is going to deter seats. It's going to deter parents from coming here. As it is, I hear other parents complaining and talking of homeschooling, okay? Because special education is not there for our kids. They're blocking the path. Kids with autism are growing at a higher rate and increasing all the time, every single year. So this is not something that's going to go away. This is something that's currently happening also in the current kindergarten years right now, where kids are being affected. So I'm coming to you again to address the issue with your director of special education and get some resolution, because this is administrative. I can handle it on my own on, my advocacy and whatnot, but this is administrative and leadership. Thank you.
Our next speaker card is for Javier Hidalgo.
Good evening. My name is Javier, and my wife at Willow Elementary. I want to begin with district administration and the staff at Willow for all the emails, text messages, phone calls, and support. On April 24th, I had to pick up my wife and take her to urgent care, and then to the ER as a result of being physically assaulted by a student. 2 days prior to this assault, she was assaulted by being punched in the chest by the same student. When a teacher is assaulted, it does not only affect the teacher, but her family and other students as well. My wife has been out for 3 weeks with a concussion and will be out for the remainder of the year as she recovers. The end of the school year, much like the beginning, is filled with many activities and duties that the teacher must see to. Her students miss out on having an amazing teacher who she is, who is familiar with their individual needs. My wife has missed out on an opportunity for important family events, such as my child's birthday, which was only 4 days after the incident. She missed out on chaperoning daughter's field trip, picnic portfolio last night, and our niece's college graduation. I've had to take time off of work to take care of her, and my mother-in-law also fears for her safety, my wife's safety at work. My concern is the safety is not only for my child and wife, but other children and the faculty that attend Willow. With the increase of school violence towards staff and students, as a parent, I would like to know what steps are being taken by the board to ensure the safety of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional cards? Okay, thank you. We'll move along to discussion. We have the first reading of the board policy revisions. You can read those on the agenda online. You can read them in your agenda. And we don't take action or actually do discussion here. Not on first reading, the second reading we're supposed to.
No, if there's any questions by the board, clarification. If not, we'll bring them to the next meeting for consideration.
All right, you guys have questions?
No questions. Thank you to the district for continuing to keep us up to date on revisions on policy to make sure we're always in compliance. Appreciate that.
Anybody else? All righty. Next up, Dr. Jordan.
So last month, as we kind of, based off of my presentation, we're constantly looking at things that we can do to generate different ideas and be able to provide supports into our facilities, our classrooms, and so on and so forth. So we have completed our facility master plan about a year ago. If you recall, that process has identified things that are like immediate, things that are nice to do, and then there's the wish list. And that was done by site walks, that was done by input from our maintenance department. We went out to our school sites and we involved community members to be able to provide input. If you did everything in that document, in today's dollar, it equals about $500 million. Unfortunately, we keep not winning the $1 billion lottery to be able to make a donation to the district just to cover everything, and then we don't have to have this conversation. But we continue looking away. So what we did from there, the board hired a consultant for a bond. And then from there, we also partnered with a company, True North, who presented last month to the board the findings of a preliminary poll to see if our community would be in support of a bond. One of the things that came back was after they strategically and they go through their processes, they do this all over the place, it came back with about a 57% approval rating if you were to launch that today and people were to vote. In order for a bond to be successful, you need a 55% approval rating. So the board heard this last month, and we put it as a discussion item because I want the board to be able to weigh in a little bit in terms of what you heard, what your thoughts are. Since the last meeting, I've also done some additional homework on this, and I'm hoping that we could just have an open discussion right now to kind of set the direction of maybe where we're going to go next.
We're open for discussion, comments, questions. Was that a?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm in regards to the wish list. I'm all for giving everybody what they need. Obviously, it's a money issue. Hearing what we heard at the last meeting regarding the bond, I just think there's too much to do to get this done, and because there's certain criteria we have to meet all the way down, and I think the margin is too close. So it's just my take on it.
Clarify too close for what?
The percentage of approval to where we're at now. Plus, I know the election's going to be pretty busy, and we don't know how many voters are going to be out there. But I just think it's a risky time to do it now. And as I said last meeting, I believe Mount Sacs also throwing a bond down, so that would be on our local election ballots also. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Can we explore the option of potentially doing a bond in 2026, Dr. Jordan?
We could, that could be an option.
I think I'll add that with that presentation, I very much agree. I think in terms of the timeline, I think it would be really prudent to to be able to be diligent, intentional, go slowly with it in a way that will help to increase any success. But I really was very encouraged. Even though the margin being slim, which would love that to be bigger, it's in on the positive side of things. They're like, okay, well, that's really great. It was fun to see that with this type of a poll showing the community can be receptive to that type of idea. And then hearing also some of the, again, within this poll, hearing some of the priorities that the community would also have. I thought that was really exciting, and that to me gives me a lot of optimism going forward of saying like, all right, these are great things, specifically in areas of like STEAM, which happen to be dear and close to my heart as well. I share those priorities. That was something that said, all right, that's really fantastic. And it'd be great to be able to put something together, not in any kind of a rushed manner, but something really and intentional. Take our time to come up with a great plan and involving the community and finding out what all those great strategies could be, so that when that time becomes available to us, that we get that support and that the community gets the resources that they would like to see in our schools too.
I think 57% is too close for comfort. There's 55. And that tell us, the community speaks. I'm sorry, the community has spoken. So now we heard it, and I think, like Ms. Flores said, I think that 2026 is a good number to have the bond measure goes out in the community. But that at the same time, I rather the board is focused on the budgets in the next few years. In general, the budget, and we can really focus with the entire community itself to see if we can maintain our budget. So I'm like to see the bond measure in 2026.
Are you about to push your button?
I'm about to push my button. It's okay.
Okay.
I would also suggest, if we can hear from Dr. Jordan, what his suggestion is in regards to it. Because I think if we do go 2026, we have a lot of work to do. And the quicker we start going, the better it is for us.
Dr. Jordan, do you have a recommendation at this time?
Yeah, I think what was interesting after the last presentation, I got a call from a community member who heard that Charter Oak was bankrupt. And I said, I'm confused. And it was because this recipient got that call to fill out the request for the bond information. So what that told me was, and this is not a bad thing, what that told me is that we have a lot of work to do in educating and communicating what our needs are. And I know that as a board, we had a study session where we kind of extracted from that list some priorities as a starting point, because we needed to give that information to the pollster so they knew how to frame the questions to see, will they support classroom repairs or will they support a brand new building of something? So the other part for me was being really purposeful over the next year and a half and putting a timeline together of the tasks that you need to complete. Simple things from, first of all, our employees don't even have a clue of what we want to try to do because we haven't had the opportunity yet to present to them, here's what we want, right? So what we've got to do is we've got to go back, and the board, and we'll help with the board with this, we got to go back and take the polling results and now match those things up to what the committee will support and won't support, and start putting those things on the list. Then once we look at that list, then we'll go out and we'll meet with every staff member, we'll provide input, we'll hold community meetings, we'll send out mailers, we'll send out using technology for people to provide feedback, and really take the time for our community and for our staff to really understand how this works, what our needs are. And then I really believe that if we do this right and we put all these things in place over time, I think that our community will understand and they will support the highest dollar amount that we could go out for with some education to see the impact that has on our schools. The polling right now Our threshold, and we'll come in and have the financial advisor do a whole presentation on this. Our threshold is somewhere between 50 to 80 million dollars. Now remember, I told you that if you did everything in that booklet, it's $500 million. The bond capacity, because of previous bonds and the size of our district, is between 50 and 80. That 57% is lowering that down a little bit and getting a smaller amount. So in my mind is that if we're purposeful and we work really hard, could we educate everybody and be able to get that higher dollar amount so we could do more work? So I think I'm exactly where the board is. My recommendation is, let me work with staff. I can come back with more of a specific timeline over the next year and a half of the things that we need to do. We'll work with our bond consultant. And my recommendation is that we even do another polling, probably somewhere towards the end of 2025, so that we can get another poll somewhere the board is. And then we have two options. We can do a June of 26 bond, which will be the primaries for the governor election. Or if we still need to do more work, then we can do one in November of 2026. But realize that if the board made a decision tonight to say, Jeff, we're going to move forward with this, we would have to bring a resolution to the board by June 20th to get that on the November ballot. And I got 6 pages of work that needs to get done that I will tell you will not get done between now and June 20th, knowing the time of year that we're at. So the old coach in me is I'm very competitive. I want to do stuff to win. And I think that if we purposely look at this and we communicate this, I think we can do that.
So I think we're in agreement to go with the strategy that you've just laid out, a timeline for June, then November of 2026.
Great, then we'll bring back some stuff with some options as we continue to move forward then.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Next up, we have action items, and before we move forward, I move that we pull item C1 from consideration. I'll need a second, and then I'll entertain a vote.
One second.
All right, Ms. Flores is the second. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll now vote on removing item C1. Mr. Rose?
Wait.
Oh, Mr. Moo? Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose? To remove item C1? Ms. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Yes. I'm also a yes. That is 5 board members and 2 student representatives voting in the affirmative. Thank you. First up, we have business services item A1. What is this? Oh, I'm sorry. California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency Program, that's CalShape, authorizing 2 grant programs, CalShape Plumbing and CalShape Ventilation for eligible parties.
I'll move it.
Thank you. Is there a second? So that's Flores and Peterson. Any discussion?
I think I'm excited to be able to have the opportunity to go up for these types of grants. I think that's great. Being at Badillo's site yesterday, I was sitting in their NPR or their cafeteria or what have you, and just kind of looking around, I was like, yeah, we need to have some upgrades here in terms of the air conditioning. I mean, these are some old facilities and things, so that's a really positive thing.
Anyone else? All right, Mr. Mook? Yes. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Aye.
Mrs. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
5 board members, 2 student reps, all in the affirmative, no no's. Next up, public hearing, intention to consider energy conservation services contracts pursuant to Government Code Section 421710. The Board of Trustees is required to have a public hearing to consider entering into a solar energy conservation service contract prior to approval. The hearing is now open. Is there any comment? May come to the podium if you have comments. Can you come to the podium, please? We have to be able to record you on the mic. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The open comment thingy, is it on Education Services AB 922? No?
No, we're on the public hearing for the solar panels. You're welcome. All right, hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Next up, we have resolution number 7-2324 to approve the Energy Conservation Services contract. Is there a motion? Mr. Peterson, is there a second? Dr. Aguilar, is there any discussion? Mr. Rose?
Yeah. I just want to know that, I just want to know the company in Korea that going to make the solar panel, are they well known throughout the district?
Yes, please.
Nation? How well known they are? Are they expert in solar panel? I just want to know a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, it's a good question. We're only choosing from what they call tier 1 module manufacturers because under a power purchase agreement, the financier who stands behind it has to have a quote unquote bankable product. And so tier 1 manufacturers are the highest volume manufacturers and they're vertically integrated. So yes, their products are dependable. They've been doing it for a long time and they produce a large quantity of modules. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Peterson?
I'm thankful for Dr. Jordan and the staff to get this moving. It's been a long time in the path, at least 4 years, I think, right? But it's good to see it going so we can catch up with others around us and save money, obviously.
Any other comments, discussion? Yes?
I appreciated you explaining about the company in Korea. Unfortunately, we're not going to get any made in the USA. Probably not for a while. Probably I understand the logistics involved in this and the expenses too. But if it's from Korea, I'm good with that. And I prefer Korea over China. That's me, personally. So I'm glad it's going to be from Korea. Why not? It's time to move forward and try the different country to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
I liked it.
Hearing no more discussion, I call, there's more?
I think so. Were you going to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just also was going to echo with some of my colleagues, Mr. Peterson, that it has been quite a time coming and several unexpected speed bumps along the way. So I appreciate the diligence of the district team and continue to move that forward. And excited to see finally today a resolution on our desk. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Flores, do you have anything? Okay. All right. Well, hearing no more, I'd like to. David, are you about to say something? No? Okay. Hearing no more, I'd call for the vote. Mr. Mu? Yes. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar? Yes. Mr. Peterson? I'm also a yes. That is 5 board members and 2 student representatives in the affirmative. Moving right along, Educational Services, AB 922, LA County Plan for Expelled Students. This is the adoption of Los Angeles County's plan for expelled students.
So moved?
And is there a second? Mr. Peterson, is there any discussion, questions, or comments? Mr. Rose?
I think it's a well thought out plan on how to help students who are expelled from school. I mean, once they're out, they got to go somewhere, get an education. And for the report that I read, I think it came out with a good plan to help the students get their feet back on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Mr. Mu? Yes. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. That's 5 board members and 2 student representatives in the affirmative. Item B2, School Plan for Student Achievement. Is there a motion? Dr. Aguilar, is there a second? Mr. Peterson, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Mu? Yes. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. That is 5 board members and 2 student representatives in the affirmative. I have an item D here, Superintendent, that's blank? Okay. So we'll move to the consent calendar. Does anyone need to pull anything? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Mr. Peterson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Flores, any discussion? So, no, oh, just kidding. You took a long time to correct me this time. We'll call for the vote. Mr. Moo? Yes. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. Flores?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? I'm also a yes. Approved 5 board members, 2 student reps in the affirmative. What do we have next? Board comments. This time, let's have our student representatives make board comments since this is, yeah, this is your last one.
Well, it's been a long ride. I've really enjoyed my time here. Great to hear about the things that have been going on at Charter Oak, especially with our CIF champions, our softball team, and our sports med team, as well as like our future plans as well. I wish you all the best for navigating the problems that we have in the district. This district has been my home for the past 12 years, and it has been an amazing experience to be here to represent the district, to represent my high school here. So I only wish Charter Oak the best. This is a great place to be, and I wish greatness upon it in the future as well. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to have this opportunity. I've also been in this district since I was in kindergarten, and it's been eye-opening to see what really goes behind the scenes. I'm kind of like at a loss for words. Like, I never thought I'd have an opportunity like this being in my senior year, and thank you.
Thank you, and we're so proud of you guys. Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Madam President. This boardroom, wow. I mean, look at this. This is the drastic change. Like we just watched a TV show. I forgot the name of the show for that.
Makeover?
Here we go. It did. This is incredible, the way it train. I mean, I really like it. The only thing is missing is the clock. So I missed the old clock. That was on the wall over there. I really miss it. I know it's old-fashioned, but still, I like that hand clock on the wall. But anyway, it was just a little joke here. But I'm glad we have a live streaming in place. We have ADA compliance, and the best of all about this room is movable. We can, they can be moved around to suit the needs of be a boy meeting, parent meeting, whatever, and that could be a useful room. And looks very nice here. I'm impressed with this one too. Really nice. Okay, so that's good. Teachers, hang on to it. We got a couple more weeks at school. All right, we all going to get through this. And I'm very proud of all the teachers in our district. They had done a tremendous job getting us through another year of school. For those who are not going to teach in summer school, enjoy the summer. Go somewhere, escape to wherever, and really relax out there. And for those teachers who stay to teach summer school, we're all behind you. We'll support you to continue to teach the children that they need. And classified staff, continue to do your work throughout the year. Keep up the good work. We support you. And also enjoy the summer if you can take the vacation time off as well. student representatives, thank you for being part of our board. Your voice is heard and your votes are counted, and we respect that. And for you to enjoy the graduation that's coming up very, very soon, be proud of yourself, and good luck in your, I don't know, pronounce that word, endeavor. Endeavor, thank you. Enjoyed that. And last of all, I like to see I like personally see we need to oversee and overview in the special ed department so that we can see what's going on in our special education department. I like to see we can see what needs to be done to facilitate and have a better relationship with parents, teachers and staff all together, because the gentleman in the back has expressed it, the mother expressed it, and I'm sure you all have expressed it, and that I'm concerned about that. So I think that I would like to see that the district overview the special ed department and see what we can do to improve the relationship with everyone involved. We are all in the community. We work together, and we serve every special ed kids in our district. That's it. Madam President, I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
Good evening, or good night. It's almost bedtime, right? Congratulations to our Hall of Fame winners, to Roxana Figueroa and to Brian Akers. Mean Girls was fabulous. It didn't disappoint. An amazing, amazing musical. And congratulations to our girls softball team and our sports medicine team. And also a shout out to the golf team who did really well under the direction of Mr. Scott Higuera, who just killed it this year. Enjoy the graduation events. I hope to see you all at celebrating our amazing students. We have 2 of them here. Good luck, Wade. Good luck, Sebastian. We wish you the best. And you are Charter Oak's best and brightest, so come back and visit us. I also want to give a shout out to Mr. John. Sir, can you please stand up? Yes, you. Stand up, yes. So John is an active member of this community, supports Charter Oak District with donations, but him and his Rotarians also support our troops. So I just wanted to thank him publicly for the donation that Rotary Club, you can stay silent. The donation that the Rotarians made to our Home for Our Troops program. It's a nonprofit that builds homes for our troops. So John and the Rotarians donated $10,000 to this amazing program. Many of the homes go to our disabled veterans. So I just wanted to publicly thank you. I don't know how you find the time to fundraise, support our kids, support your kids, but a shout out to you for being a stellar community member. So thank you. Also, this is a beautiful room. This is your room. This is a community room for all of you. So please take advantage of it. This is for our community, our students. Enjoy it. It's beautiful. And a big shout out to Dr. Jordan. None of this would be possible without you, without Dr. Kim, Dr. Abrahamson, and Ms. Branford. Thank you all for all that you've done throughout the years, and you continue. And I know some of us have faced some health challenges, but y'all just keep coming back. So I want to just thank you on behalf of our students, 2 of whom are my 2 boys are still students here. So I thank you from the Flores family, as a community member as well. Dr. Jordan, let's have a fun graduation season. See you all at graduation, and let's have a great summer. Thank you all.
All right, continuing. Thank you, Mrs. Flores. Continuing to heap praise upon our student groups. Yeah, Mean Girls was a hit. Might be one of my favorite of the productions that I've seen. I don't know. I've been going along here. For me, I liked it a lot. It was pretty great. Mamma Mia was fantastic as well. And not only did we think it was great, but it also was nominated for many various awards. Our whole drama program has been nominated for various awards over this past season. So that's been fantastic. They've taken home several, nominated for many others, so that's been awesome. Just what the kids are doing there in that program is amazing under Mrs. Pedrochi and everybody that's involved there. The choir is putting on their concert this weekend. In fact, I think they had a show tonight, but they have more shows tomorrow and Saturday. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. I know they have a live jazz band playing with them, accompanying them, starring a couple of our own people. You might recognize maybe one of our faculty playing a little bit of jazz saxophone up there. That might be Mr. Lopez up there playing, rocking the sax. So that'd be super cool. And I'm excited to see that. I got my tickets to go see that on Saturday, so maybe I'll see some of you guys there. I got a chance to see our choir also perform at the Walt Disney Concert Hall since our last meeting. They performed there just a few weeks ago, and it was the first time they held this event since COVID had shut things down. So it was really also a cool celebration to see not only Charter Oak High School, but joining with, I don't know how many, there might have been 30 other high schools in that range that all got to sing together as one massive choir. And they actually set up all the students in the audience area, because there's so many students there, right? So they were actually in the audience, and then the audience themselves were actually where the choir would normally be, because that's a much smaller group. And it was just this wall of sound, and really impressive, really cool. And it was great to see our high school participate in that as well. We got a chance to hit a bunch of the open houses yesterday. Caught some of my fellow board members running around, making the rounds. That was fantastic, seeing everything that the students are doing as they prepare for the end of the season. It was an honor to see our 9th and 10th and 11th grade students honored with their academic awards, as Mr. Wood pointed out earlier. That was fantastic. Little great students, great stories, great just examples for our community. So really proud of them. And then, of course, as we have our 12th graders getting up for graduation, an early commencement graduation for all of them. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys and shaking your hands as you guys move on to the next steps in your guys' careers, whether it be in education or career or all the above. So that's really exciting. And then today we got a chance to graduate some of our longtime employees at the retirement celebration, right? So that was a different version of a graduation, but also super, super special. Up to 40 years of service for some of them in our district, and that's just really impressive. Some of them even had served as my teacher long ago, so it's great to be able to shake a hand of someone and say, thank you for educating me. Thank you for educating me all those years ago, and it's been an honor and a pleasure. So let's see. And I think lastly, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Peterson, this week or last was Peace Officer Appreciation. This week, Peace Officer Appreciation Week. So also want to just extend an appreciation to all of our peace officers and to our very own Mr. Peterson for the many years of service that he put in as well. So thank you.
Can I just make a quick comment? Dr. Aguilar, I think, attends every event in the school district, so he gets the award for attending the most events. I don't think he misses one.
Hey, I love a party, right?
So-
I can't say no.
He gets the trophy.
Thank you. I got a long list here. Echoing Mean Girls. I have never seen anything about a mean girl. I've never watched a TV show, movie. I wasn't a mean girl in high, yeah. But I found it interesting. I didn't understand it much. I didn't understand the concept, but I found it interesting, and the kids did a great job. My daughter enjoyed it, so that's all that mattered. Looking forward to all that jazz, because I like me a good little musical, so that's gonna be fun to watch. And then the summer drama program starting, the kids are excited about that, and that's gonna be Beauty and the Beast. Something going on at Charter Oak High School, they're doing a volleyball camp for kids from the middle school. My daughter's part of that. She says it's a fantastic opportunity for them, so they're doing a good job with that. Congratulations to our retirees. Last night at Badillo with the In-N-Out was phenomenal. Connie did a great job in coordinating everything with In-N-Out to recreate the first cookout that In-N-Out had. And it's in Mrs. Snyder's book. It's actually about In-N-Out Way, something like that. But, it was phenomenal that they came out, the support they had, and the work ethic those kids have. And he was telling me that there's a lot of Charter Oak kids who actually work for In-N-Out, and they're doing a great job. So that's good for them. Let's see, what else? Great things are happening at Charter Oak with the Pathway program, the sports medicine, our drama, our band, our choir. Everything's going well, culinary. The food at the retirement gig today, I believe, was made by them, so they did a good thing. Good luck to our sports med people tomorrow. State testing, thank goodness is completed, because that had my kids stressed out. And that went on for a long time, 2 weeks. Yeah, she was stressed over the whole thing. She's finally glad it's over though. What favorite time of the year with the graduations, promotions, awards, celebrating the success of our students. Good luck, gentlemen. And congratulations on being here and part of this team. You know, I think this is the third set we've had. So it's been very few people have been in those seats, and you being afforded the opportunity to participate in the board hearings is something that very few people have that opportunity to. So congratulations. Let's see, Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you to all our teachers for all the hard work they do. I know we don't say it enough, but we appreciate everything. And I know my kid appreciates it, which means my wife appreciates it, which means I appreciate it. On Saturday at Charter Oak is the Charter Oak Super 7-on-7 football tournament at Lou Farrar Stadium. It's teams from all over Southern California coming to our city, to our stadium, to our school, where we show everything off. And if you get a chance to go by there, it's phenomenal. There's football games going on all over the place. And Dom does a fantastic job in coordinating all that. You gonna be cooking? You're not gonna cook this time? Yeah, they need volunteers to cook.
I'm tired.
Oh, Ms. Flores be there all day. Okay, let's see, just one more thing. Oh, actually, back to John Espinoza, Mardi Gras on Saturday?
Sir.
Yes, sir?
I'll see you there.
Any tickets?
Yes, sir.
Hit John up.
Yes, sir. Show up.
On May 30th, Covina PD is sponsoring a drug awareness class for high school students, specifically dealing with fentanyl. It's going to be at the Senior Citizen Center at 5:30 p.m., and it's located at 815 North Branca, which is between San Bernardino Road and Cypress on the west side of the street. We have a problem with fentanyl out here. One of the kids in my school I teach at, excuse me, recently passed away from a fentanyl overdose. So it's in our neighborhoods, it's in our community. So the more awareness we can get, the better it is, and I'll give Dr. Jordan the flyer. Maybe we can get that out for them. And that's it.
You all right over there? That was a lot. Okay, well, last one up. First, again, I want to thank our student board members, and I also want to thank the family of our student board members who sit through every single one of our school board meetings and wait for your students to get finished. So we also thank you for all of your time. Again, want to thank our teachers and our staff. What would be amazing is if Teacher Appreciation Week was like the last week of school and it just naturally transitioned, and then your gift was like, school's over. But instead, we're like, kidding, you still have a couple more weeks. Also, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think that's something that we all need to make sure that our students know, and make sure that they have access to the social and emotional supports that they need. The world is just a different place now, so we need to make sure that our students and even ourselves as adults make sure we take care of ourselves. Also, the administration has extended the deadline to consolidate your student loans so that you can take advantage of student loan forgiveness. This is really good for teachers and the public service loan forgiveness because you can consolidate your undergraduate and your graduate loans, and you'll get credit for the oldest loan. So if you are a teacher and you are near your 120 payments, which is 10 years, it is a great idea to take advantage of that loan consolidation extension. I also want to talk about this biomed table. You guys have heard me talk about it before, but that program, those kids are really smart. And when I went to their table at the Charter Oak preview night, I was just joking around telling them about these symptoms I was having with my finger. And so they diagnosed it, and I went to the doctor on Tuesday, and it was exactly what the kids told me a month ago without any imaging. So I'm all in. Like, those kids are geniuses. Last but not least, I would like to say that we will be observing Memorial Day this month. So I wanted to make sure that we recognize our soldiers who gave their lives to defending our country. And so bless any of you who have them in your family, and just make sure you take a moment to say a prayer for them. Thank you. Our next meeting is going to be June 13th. It'll be a board study session. Is it here? It'll be right here. And we will adjourn this. We don't have a need for closed session. We'll adjourn this meeting at 8:53.